talking about the tight ends, and we are efforting to have Eric All and Caleb Johnson after Coach Hodge. So we'll keep you guys updated on that. With that, we'll get with Coach Ferentz. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon to everybody. So there's a couple words about the weekend and then past weekend, and we'll talk about an Iowa State game, obviously. But first of all, it's good to get out on the field and compete, have that opportunity. And it's, I think, interesting. Probably every team goes through it where everybody kind of has a clock going, an internal clock. And, after a while, probably about 10 days out, I think everybody's anxious just to turn over to the season. So good to get out there. Obviously, it's a hot day. Great to play in front of fans, and just a lot of anticipation, anxiety, anxiousness, whatever it is. So, good to get the first one out, that's for sure. And just certainly, most importantly, happy to get the victory. Good starting point for us. And came in Sunday, just gave us a real opportunity to look at the film and hopefully learn from any errors that we made. Both physical, mental, and just maybe as much as anything, just understand the value of little details and things that, you're trying to, I think all coaches are trying to get corrected during the course of camp, but kind of reinforces some things. And then the other thing I mentioned, I think briefly after the game, just, the various swings in a game. And certainly we had some situations we could have responded to better on Saturday, and that's, if we're going to have a successful team, we're going to have to do a better job with that. So hopefully that's a learning experience on top of it. So all part of the deal. And, every Sunday is a real opportunity to learn, and then most importantly, hopefully grow as you move forward. So that's really the challenge that's in front of us right now. And, we're going to need to grow and improve fast because we have a tough contest on our hands playing Iowa State this week. So captains end up being the same four guys. We've got Joe Evans, you've got Luke Lachey, Jay Higgins, and Cade McNamara will be our captains. And then, needless to say, this is a rivalry game. It's a big game in our state for good reason, and rightfully so. I think it's really a good thing for the state, certainly, but with it comes a lot of intensity. It's going to be a great environment, certainly on Saturday, just like it is either in Kinnick or their place. So you can count on that, and I think the other you can count on, just if you look at the last 5 games now, it's basically been 5 points per average between the two teams. So, all the games have really been contested, and comes down to playing, good, clean football, and I'd expect something more of that this week. So, again, a lot of talk, a lot of excitement around the state, I'm sure. And I think the key thing for all of us performers, the guys who are performing out there, the guys competing, coaches the same way, is just focus on what we can do to be best prepared, because that's what's going to take. So that's kind of where it's at. Their team looked good Saturday. They had a really impressive win over Northern Iowa, a team that we have a lot of respect for as well. Got a lot of new players, but I think something that didn't change. They just look very well coached. They play extremely hard, and they're very sound. No turnovers. They're a +2 on the turnover rate. Made some big plays that gave them a lot of juice out there, and helped lead them to their victory. So just an impressive football team. 2 new quarterbacks. They both played well. I got multiple receivers that are good football players. Looks like 4 or 5 backs that are really capable. A lot of tight ends, I think 4 or 5 that contributed and did a good job. And they're veteran up front, very strong up front. Defensively, they've been really good and stout. One of the top teams in their conference, basically since 18. I've really been playing good on defense, and got a new kicker. Had a really impressive field goal. Punter did a great job, and 2 big punt returns on top of it. So, they're doing a great job on special teams as well. So, all that being said, we just have a lot of respect for them, and it's like every year we're going to have to play at our best to have a chance to come out ahead on this thing. I'll throw it out for questions. Well, I'm sorry, we're on the road, but we still do have a kid captain, so I do want to mention Niall Crone, who is right from Iowa City here. Young guy's had 11 surgeries thus far, just started first grade, and as I'm told, now just lights up the room. So just want to wish him our best, and certainly we'll be thinking about him this weekend too, so great to have him.
After,
go ahead, Scott. Yep, there you go.
After evaluating the play of the offensive line in the run game, was it a matter of mostly gaining points and missed opportunities more than it was physical errors that are beyond correction?
Yeah, no, I didn't see a lot of physical stuff. It just it was a tough preparation for us. defensive, looking at their defense, I think, their offense felt pretty good about what to expect. A lot of returning players, and then certainly the system that, Coach Anderson has had with him for quite some time. It was kind of the flip of that on defense. We really didn't know what to expect and got some looks maybe that I don't want to say we weren't prepared for, but there were some things we would have done differently maybe in retrospect had we known what to expect a little bit more. So all in all, I think they saw a lot of good things out there. Nothing that can't be improved upon and fixed, so nothing too bad.
Do you expect more production from the run game this week, considering you do know Iowa State a little bit better than what you expected?
Yeah, yes and no.
Week?
The challenge is they make it really tough to run, and they've done a great job of that. And it's kind of ironic. You think of the front, I think people refer to as a 3-3 stack, so you think of that being like a past, spread offensive front, but they do a great job. They really do a great job of getting free guys to the ball. And the one thing about them, which I can say this the last 5 years, they really tackle well at all positions. And you can't say that about every football team. In fact, there's some that you can't say that about at all. But they've done a really good job of that. So they have a great way of getting guys free to the ball, and then they don't miss tackles.
Seems like pass protection took a step up. What do you think kind of led to that big jump from last year to this year?
Yeah, it's kind of like I've been saying. I just think we're a more mature group right now, a little bit more experienced and more capable, and it's really pretty much the same guys throwing Rusty Feth on top of it. But it's the same guys that have been here. They've been able to practice a little bit. They're a year older and stronger, and we're a more physically mature team at that position, especially. And I think that's a big part of that, especially line play, both lines. That's a really big factor.
Will it be a similar rotation for the offensive line this week as we saw last week with Ellsbury in at right guard?
We'll see. Yeah, we'll see how it goes this week. But, right now, if we're playing 5, 6, well, obviously we're playing 5, but 6, 7, 8 guys, we're doing it because we feel like they can go in and compete and play well, not because we're just trying to fish around or find something that might work. But, I feel right now like the guys that you saw Saturday did a capable job, and hopefully they'll all continue to improve as we go.
Specifically about Logan Jones, talked about how he deserved a medal last year for being kind of thrown into the fire. Post-game, he talked about just how much more confidence he has in making those pre-snap calls. I mean, just from your evaluation, how far would you say he's come, and how important is it for him to maintain that level of confidence that he has right now?
Well, I think it's just going to come because he's earned it. Yeah, it's kind of like the whole group, really. It's we knew it was going to be tough last year. I knew it was going to be tough for him, although I think I said before, sometimes you get lulled into sleep because he does so well in practice, but it's still different being out there in a game in front of fans and competing when there's a shot clock going and all those things that make a game a little bit more stressful and trying. So, I thought he did a good job last year with it, but, there's nothing like experience. And, Linderbaum was a better player in his last year than he was his first year starting. It'd be the same thing, and I'm not trying to compare the two guys, but they are wired a little bit the same, and there's some similarities between them, and that's a real compliment to Logan because he really operates at a high level. He's just really mature, very serious about it, and he's got a lot of pride, and that's pretty much true at every position. If you got a guy with those attributes, it's a good thing.
You talked about they have a new quarterback, running backs. That's really going back to the summer and the gambling investigation. How much has that impacted this game when you think of the players that aren't going to be playing?
I don't know. I mean, the guys that aren't there, and I can't speak to their side, and I can speak to ours, and we'd be a better team with our guys out there. And I'm sure they feel the same way. But the reality is they aren't, and so we've all had ample time to get ready, and it's not the same, but for a coach or for the team, it's the same as if somebody's injured. Somebody else is going to step in there and play. And from what I could tell on the film, those guys really did a great job. All the guys that we saw there Saturday, they looked like they were really confident and playing very well. And they had total control of the game in all three phases.
You were the head coach of the Maine Black Bears. Did you ever think you'd be on the doorstep of 200 wins?
No. I mean, no. No. I wasn't sure what was going to happen once I left Maine. So, but it was a good experience, really good experience, and learned a lot fast.
What does that number mean?
Not a hell of a lot, really, quite frankly. Other than I've been doing it for a while, I guess. It means I've been around good players and good people in a good place, and I've been really fortunate that way. At least I'm smart enough to know that. But the only reason I know is because somebody reminds me of it, not frequently, but occasionally, and it's just like right now, all I know is we're 1-0, and that's nice. It's the best we could be, but we got a lot of work in front of us. That's what I know.
Kirk, Luke Lachey was good last year, but do you see him taking his game to an even higher level now with more opportunities?
Yeah, it's the same discussion as Logan or the whole group. I mean, just if a player's doing things right, he should get better. And if these guys go to the NFL, Linderbaum will be a better player this year than he was last year. I'm sure of that. And good players just keep getting better. And even when they get older and their skills might start to deteriorate, that's why you got a brain. And if you're thinking right and thinking about how you can get better and improve, there's so much to be said for experience if you're doing it the right way. So, yeah, I mean, Luke's a great young guy, and he's just starting to feel it. Like, last year he really started taking off, and he's done a great job in the out of season. So, we expect him to play really well. And if we're going to have a chance, I say it all the time, our best guys, our most experienced guys have to play better than they did a year ago, or we're going to be, in a bad place.
Talk about Utah State just throwing some different looks defensively to kind of slow the run game down. Was there other things, I guess, fundamentally you saw your guys could do differently, or was it mostly just
not differently? I mean, you can always do better. You can always do better. But I was pleased with a lot of things we saw. The things didn't mesh the way you want them to, and part of that's it's hard when you really. I mean, we were throwing darts last week. I'm sorry, and I think I told you Saturday. It's a little weird watching MAC film when you're playing somebody from the Mountain West on Saturday. I'm watching Bowling Green and Buffalo, whatever night it was, Tuesday night. It's kind of a weird. That's out of my comfort zone. I'll full disclosure. I like to know who you're playing. As the season gets on, it's a little bit easier because you have this year's team playing. So you at least, not that you know what's going to happen Saturday. There's just always something that's going to. There's always a monkey wrench or two. That's just part of football. But at least you know who the guys are, and you kind of. Can better project things, I think, and put a little bit better plan together. And last week, I mean, you're throwing a lot of darts. It's just the way it is. And I'm sure, well, no, I can't say, I'm sure they were doing that because they weren't. It's not the same situation.
You mentioned on Saturday that Wampa and Williams both had heat-related things that sort of out.
Yeah.
Are they both back?
They're fine. Yeah, they're fine. And a big point of emphasis afterwards, just you play a game like that, it starts right away. You have to get on top of it, and it sounds like it's going to be decent this week, but there's no guarantee there either. So you just that's a day-to-day thing, and we started talking about that actually like in May. But it's just something guys have to be cognizant of. And
Trump is going to be at the game in Ames on Saturday. I just got the email for it.
Great. There's going to be about 60 other thousand people too. So that's great.
Is that random?
Is that random?
Yeah.
I actually think he was there during the longest game, the longest yard, longest day, whatever that movie was. Those are both movies, I think. I think he was there then too. There are probably a lot of people who came and went after that one, but that's great. I mean, it's election year in Iowa.
Outside of that, have you ever played in front of any other current or former presidents?
I have no idea. No idea.
What's workload been like this week? Is it full go? Did you try to manage it?
It's he's got an injury, so we're managing it all season long. I'm guessing. That's my guess, or at least until it heals. So yeah, we'll manage it and try to be smart about it.
A number of your players.
I'm sorry.
How's he been looking so far?
All right. Yeah, he's looking okay. He's sore. I can tell you that. Predictably, he's sore.
Backup quarterback. I mean, we saw Deacon out there, but does Joe make ascending? Like, is there a competition there at number 2? Or
yeah, so I'll say again, Deacon benefited from Cade being out, and Cade was out all of like 2 weeks, I believe. So that gave Deacon a chance to really get a lot of quality work, kind of like Joe did in December. And then Joe, unfortunately, was out. Now Joe's back. So, yeah, both of them are moving forward. And, we'll, if one of them is in the game, we'll be ready to roll. We'll practicing with those guys right now, and then hopefully they'll both be amply prepared.
Coach, a number of your players volunteered at an animal shelter not too far away. How much do you preach the importance of volunteer work in your program?
Yeah, it's kind of part of our curriculum, if you will. We just try to encourage that, and they actually made the newsletter. I can't remember now, but I took it in a team meeting back in August. It was pretty impressive, actually, how many hours, how many guys got involved. And I think it's about a half hour, 40-minute drive from here. So, for college guys to do something like that, it's just something that we've tried to, encourage, I guess. Maybe dictate a little bit, even, from January to August. And I think two things. I think, the benefit of doing something for somebody else is always a good thing. I think typically you learn more. than the person who's benefiting from it does. And then the other thing, I always like to remind our guys that we all choose to do this, which, you know, is a great choice, but also we're able to do this, and not everybody's so lucky, and a little bit different when you're talking about animals. But you know, with people that aren't as fortunate, like, you know, we're a pretty fortunate population to be able to play or coach, be part of the, you know, something like college football. It's a pretty good deal.
You and Chad's question there, so quarterback sneak has been a huge play for you guys the last 3 or 4 years. I mean, really big. Is it off the table with?
Yeah, I don't think I'm, you know, sharing too much about our playbook. I'm guessing anybody saw it Saturday. I mean, we probably would have done that on 4th and 1 and just quick, you know, gone out there and snapped the ball. But yeah, it's really not in the menu right now. So that, you know, you're benefiting from experience, but you're not benefiting from that play for sure. You know, we're not going to have them, you know, bootleg and the Chuck Long play from 85. Probably won't pull that one. Yeah.
Pull that, maybe replace the QB sneak then?
Yeah, we'll have to take that one to the drawing board. I'm not sure about that. We'll see. Yeah.
You and Matt Campbell spoken all this summer about your frustrations with the gambling investigation.
No, I got a lot of respect for Coach Campbell. Saw him at the state clinic back end of February, early March. Guess it was March 1st this year, March 2nd, something like that. But yeah, we see each other there, typically bumping each other recruiting. But you know, otherwise, we're both in our worlds. But a lot of respect for him, certainly in their program.
What have you seen from Joe Evans over the years, from a leadership standpoint and from an on-the-field standpoint?
Yeah, I mean, you know, when he first showed up, I wasn't quite sure what we're going to do with him. I think I've said that before, a high school quarterback. But, you know, once you saw him on the field, you just knew he had a motor. Yeah, he's really a high-charging guy, and I don't know if I would have predicted his career would have been this successful, but it's a real tribute to him. He's worked extremely hard, but he's totally invested. He's a great leader for our guys, and you know, probably would have been a captain last year, except you got guys like Campbell. We had, you know, such a good group of guys last year at the senior end, so appreciative he's back for his 6th year. And he's a really good football player, but he's adds a real dimension to our football team, which is healthy.
I was told that when you guys were recruiting Deshaun Lee, that he had come on a visit here, and the night before you offered, or someone told his mom that you guys were going to offer him, but he didn't know, and then, you know, he got the offer the next day officially. What all do you remember about this?
Well, you got to understand, when Phil's involved in recruiting the guy, you know, it's really hard to follow the timeline or the logic line. He's got his ways. I mean, I can't explain it to you, but he's right a lot more than he's wrong. But like, instead of just offering a guy, it's usually very cryptic, and you have to go, you know, 43 steps, and I guess that's because he doesn't want other people to jump in if we jump in on somebody, which happens a lot in recruiting. But yeah, I'm not sure I fully understand his path to getting there, but at least we get there, and that's a good thing. Sean's a great young guy.
What do you just remember about, like, watching him in high school?
About the recruiting thing?
No, well, just watching Deshaun.
Oh, he's a great young guy. He's got a high level of energy. He's really, I think he's done a great job in 2 years, really learning, working at it, and you know, I don't mind telling you, anytime you start a first-time corner out there, it's a little bit, you know, concerning. You just worry about it, and I thought he really did a good job of playing smart football, which is where it all starts. And then secondly, I thought he played really well fundamentally. And he came up and tackled too, and that was good to see. He's not the biggest guy in the world, but he's tough-minded, and he really cares about, you know, being part of a good defense.
Kirk, this series has had a lot of crazy streaks and ups and downs, and you were a part of them in the 80s. But then when you came back, you lost your first 4, including one team that was outstanding that lost. What is it about this series that makes it so unique in the fact that anything can happen, and also how, I would say, committed you were in 2003 to breaking that streak, but just was it on your mind?
Oh, sure. Yeah, sure. One of the great ironies of the whole thing, it really fell apart in '83, and I don't think anybody saw it coming. I know we didn't, and we ended up on the right end of a lopsided score over there. So I remember that distinctly. I think it was an ABC game. I'm pretty sure it was at 85. Doesn't matter. That's where we started with the auspicious, you know, quarterback fell down going backwards. That was a terrible start. But anyway, in '83, it ended up being a pretty wide gap. And nobody saw that coming, and for whatever reason, then the series wasn't all that competitive. But I do know this: it all changed in 1998, the year before I got here. I remember seeing on film the punt that got dropped on the near end zone here, and that opened the door for them. I think they were 25-point underdogs, and they won by 25 or something like that. So ever since then, it's been a series. And quite frankly, outside of maybe 02, they were the better team those first couple of years. Like they were, and it's just what it is, and it's really been pretty even ever since then. So just a lot of really tough, hard-fought games. Not always predictable, but just it's a tough series, and just expect more of that on Saturday.
Did you feel any pressure, or is it all internal, or just talking to people around the state, after you lost 4 in a row when you started?
Yeah, and that's one thing about intrastate. I guess that's the correct grammar, intrastate rivals. But you don't want to lose. Just like in high school, the team, that team next door, you don't want to lose those guys. You just don't. And I'm sure they feel the same way. And Bear Bryant used to say it. He talked about guys having to go home and they go to the pharmacy and they got to answer why they lost to Auburn. And Alabama would have to answer that. So I think that's just part of sports, and but it makes it fun. It's part of the fun of sports too, having those kinds of rivalries. I'm sorry?
How's Sebastian Castro made an impact this year? He had a great play in the Utah State game.
Sebastian? Yeah, he's really, talked about him at the bowl game. I think it was his real game where he played with confidence. And, ever since then, he's really been, he's like a different player. And I'm not saying, like here to there, but he's just ties in with the earlier question about just experience. And sometimes you got to do it on the field. At some point, you got to get out there and do something good. And he did that in the bowl game a couple times. And I think he just has a well-grounded sense of confidence now. So he's playing faster and more decisively. And again, he's an older guy. He's a senior, so I think that really, all that stuff just kind of at some point comes together for you. And you never know when that's going to be. That's the fun part about watching all this. You just never know when a guy's going to start hitting stride. But when they do, it's fun. It's fun for them. It's fun to watch them, feel like they're starting to get it.
Kirk had mentioned that part of the reason you guys are stretching the field a little bit more than maybe you had last year is some of the isolation looks and how he has confidence and the receivers to be able to go up and make a play. How important is it going to be to continue to get the perimeter guys more involved to potentially open up some more running lanes and help you guys kind of move the ball on the ground?
That's just good offense, in my opinion. And again, I'm just going back to last year. We had one scholarship receiver in the first game, and with all due respect to the guys we had, but it just, there's a difference, and that's we got a little healthier group right now and a little bit more group that has more potential maybe to be productive. And, a lot of those guys have had to earn their way up. Nico's certainly a better player than he was 4 years ago. So that's a good thing. Deontay has had some hardships with injuries and just, crazy things. So to have him out there healthy is good. And then, you pick up Seth and Caleb. Those are good additions. Alec Wick, I think, is a much better player than he was a year ago. So, now you got some guys out there. You got a couple tight ends, I think, that are capable of playing well. And I think we got a line and I think we have good backs. So it's just, a matter of piecing things together and, hopefully hopefully it all complements each other. And then whatever they choose to take away, hopefully you can find some success in those other areas.
Bo Stevens, I don't think you mentioned him in the postgame. He was out on the injury report. Has he had a while, or what's his status?
He practiced today, so we're keeping our fingers crossed. He had it was actually a good thing, but he had a good thing, and he had a bruise. It was not something worse. We thought it might be worse initially, but he had like a bone bruise, so he should be good.
Yeah, he was a starter last year. Is he potentially in the rotation?
He's in the he would be in the mix, and we're not sure who the starters are, but he's in the mix certainly. But now he's missed probably 2 weeks. I think it was 2 Saturdays ago he got hurt. Yep.
You're not coming up on 200 career wins, but what originally got you into coaching?
Oh yeah, just like a lot of guys that get in coaching, I suspect a lot of people get into coaching. It's probably somebody had an impact on them, and there were a couple coaches in high school. In 10th grade, I remember distinctly the day. I can't tell you what day it was or what month, but I just remember going home saying I wanted to coach and teach high school. That's what I wanted to do, and that's how I started out. But the irony is that the head coach at that time ended up getting fired after my junior year. And then the guy that came in and replaced him, who I was convinced I was going to, hate and not want to be part of it, probably ended up being the most influential person in my life, my professional life. Not, outside of my family, the most influential person in my life. So that's one of the lessons you learn in life in general. It's like you just never know who's going to walk in and impact you. But long story short, a couple coaches in my life, and my dad was my baseball coach from up until Legion Ball through Legion Ball. So not that he was like official coach, but I think if he could do it over again, he probably would have done that instead of what he did. So just that's how it ended up happening.
What do you find the most rewarding? What do you find the most rewarding about coaching?
Oh, it's easily the people, the interactions with people. That's easy. That's a really easy one. And not that just anybody else, but the players especially. But I get to work with great people, and 34 years here. That's been the commonality. Great people day after day, in the office, on the field. And the best part's being on the field. The players still is. That's not going to change, I don't think. And I don't golf. So, that's my 2 hours to get away. And no phones. I just saw, I might need to go down that road. But, there's no phones out, all that stuff. I can't say no recruiting anymore because that's not true. But in season, that's true. Like from August till the end of the season, we're just coaching football. It's great. It's awesome.
Since you started coaching?
No, I don't think players have. I think the world has, and influences have. But there were distractions 100 years ago, right? There's always been distractions in life. That hasn't changed. But I've never been around a good player that didn't want to be coached. Sometimes they're a little tough to, it's tough to find that path. But not most, every good player I've been around, a guy who would say was a good player. Doesn't mean he's all pro or all Big Ten, but a football player. They want to be coached, they want to be helped, and they want to learn, and they want to be cared for.
Coach, you said took over your senior year of high school.
Yep.
How did he influence you?
Well, just he was even as good as the last coach, I guess, and he was always very respectful to the former coach, which I always appreciated. And but he was an outstanding coach. It was Joe Moore, who was my high school coach, and then I got to work for him in 1980. So I think everybody, pretty much anybody that's had any success in life, has had people really go out of their way to really help them. And that I know that's true. This is the world that I've lived in for a long time, and in the coaching fraternity, there's a lot of that goes on. That's really what makes it gratifying.
In all sports, the grind is the grind, but football, with the physical toll that it takes on players, especially as you get closer to the end of the season, is pretty evident for everybody. Is that what, in some ways, makes some of these moments so rewarding for you? Everybody's overtired, everybody's hurt, and then they suck it up, and then they go play, and then if they win, and then you feel like that togetherness.
I think football's so unique. I could go on an hour lecture on that one, but just, it was 90, whatever it was. I don't know what was on the field the other day. We'll be playing in probably 20, 18, somewhere along the way. You win, whatever it may be, all the different factors you deal with, and then the injury factor. And it is a physical, hard game. It's a hard game physically. It's a hard game mentally. So you got all those things that go into it. So to be good at it and to persevere and go through the ups and downs, you got a lot of respect for the people that do it. And again, this circles back to the players. The players are the ones who are really, this is kind of our job. So, but we're doing it. Most of us do it because we love it. But for the players to do it, and just all the things they have to do besides play football. Awful lot of respect for them at this level, college. To be a college student athlete, boy, it's not an easy road, but most of them do it because they love it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Kirk.
See you Saturday.
What do you